So to entertain him, I got him some cake. I'll tell you the story behind the cake in a second. Review cake. Silverware. One night we were driving, me and Ash, my brother, and him on a car driving back from Western Virginia to my house. We just come from Uno's, Chicago-themed restaurant, which Josh claimed they don't have any in Chicago. And he said, I really wanted some cake. And he told us 30 minutes about how much he loves Corey Stern and how much he wants cake. And we got home, and we didn't have any cake. And my mom didn't make any for him. So because of that, he's always not talked to me. So I got him some cake so he could start talking to me. Now, I'll tell you some more about Josh. We started CLTC '99. He was from Chicago. I was born in Chicago. He was funny, and I was funny looking. We met and we started hanging out. It was fun 2 weeks for Josh. He was the good old chapter, and I was my chapter bitch. Then during the next year, Josh came to Nova for a bat mitzvah. Him and Aft and I were all having a great day hanging out, and then this is where I learned how much Josh loved Corey Stern. I don't know if you ever had talked to Josh about Corey Stern, but he worships him, and he has a shrine in his room for him with candles and nice little pictures. I've always promised Josh a meeting with Corey Stern, but it hasn't happened yet. Supposed to be 1 year at IC, Dan Margolin took Josh up to some random guy and said, hi, this is Corey Stern, and the guy played along, and Josh thought he meant Corey Stern, but that wasn't Corey Stern. Then another good story. I learned a very interesting fact about Josh another time I was hanging out with him in Chicago. He knows where all the Slurpees are at every 7-Eleven in the Chicago suburban area. Great. You say, I want a blue raspberry Slurpee. And he's like, well, we'll have to go down to the south side for that one, but it's worth it. Then we went to a baseball game. The day of the game, we took the Skokie Swift to the L. The whole day, Josh related everything to the all-side golf. Let me give you some of the analogies. He said the L is like 88 because it's listed off the street, showing the highness of the all-side golf. At the game, he said the companies were like the ATA because they all worked together. He then said that Sammy Sosa was like the gag because everyone knew who he was. The game went on and Josh continued to show his love for the ATA, and the time came to part, and because Josh had to get home for Shabbat. Another funny story is, we were at GLCC, and he wore a kippah the whole time, hung out with the religious guys. I thought he was a very religious Jew. First thing he does when we get back to O'Hare Airport, he buys a cheeseburger. It made me very sad because the whole time I've been believing that Josh was a kosher Jew, and he wasn't. But I believe he now is. And with that, Josh, thank you. And enjoy the rest of your year. And time to get a free shot of torch, so this is for your mom. Alright, I met Josh and I 2 years ago, and actually him and Gelman were both in my door. The funny thing is that both Gelman and Garfinkel ran for I-board that year, and as I suspected and everyone else, they lost miserably. And I thought to myself, these losers will never get on I-board. Well, between that time and this summer, Gelman worked hard, became well-respected, and he won I-board. Garfinkel, on the other hand, either slept with Andy, or Andy just didn't realize that both candidates' names were Josh. But I thought, I'd tell you guys a little bit about Josh before he was elected, the real Josh. He's a kind, caring guy. He would never insult everyone and cares for everyone's feelings. For example, this summer at ILTC, Josh was willing to hook up with the ugly girls, but no one else would. So I feel they wouldn't they wouldn't feel bad. What a guy. Although my dorm still thinks it was a pathetic attempt to prove he wasn't gay, and it didn't work. I'm also reminded of Josh's compassion every time I think about his encounter with the CLTCer this summer. Well, we were walking back to the village after lunch, the CLTCer told him that ILTC sucks. Being the mature grand old Sagan that Josh is, he proceeded to insult the boy's mother, claiming to have slept with her and performed other acts that were disgusting even The CLTCer asked him to stop because his mother passed away. And being the sensitive guy that Josh Garfinkel was, he said, of course she did, I killed her. She deserved it. You see, though, the poor boy's mother really had passed away. And I think Josh got the point when the CLTCer started bawling right there. You didn't get that. But beyond kindness, Josh's most enduring trait is persistence. He would stop at nothing to get elected for I-board. Our dorm at ILTC, however, wasn't as nice as he is and exploited this notion for all of his work. He's a very religious guy, as you might know. His nickname growing up was actually Josh, I am Jesus Garfinkel. So on Shabbat, we had a great time with him. For example, before he left for services, he turned his fan on. You know, so it'd be on later because of the whole electricity, blah, blah, blah. But my dorm was me, Wayne, and a few other assholes. So we turned it off. Josh's response was, that's not funny. And we're like, well, turn it back on. You can have all of our region's votes. He's like, you guys are going to hell. And we're like, yeah, but at least we won't lose for I-board. In all honesty, though, growing up with Josh and Nom from 1991 to 1993, I learned so much from him. Namely, how to insult every ethnicity, how to insult the deaf, the blind, women, and of course, who could forget dead babies. Everyone in this room, as well as several orphans from Chicago and choir boys, have all felt and known this man's presence. While he may be, quite possibly, the worst Grand Olive Cigan ever, he's a great friend. All right, okay. He's a good friend. Actually, I hate the asshole. But, you know, good luck with the rest of the term at International Convention 2001, Stevie Wonder's IC.
Well, Josh and I have known each other since CLTC, and we've gone to now 3 programs together, but we're never put in the same circumstance. We're always put in different dorms, different rooms, different cabins, whatever you want to call them. At CLTC, I was control of my chapter, Josh was control of his chapter. At CLA, we're both in different dorms, and then IC, we're also both in different dorms, thank God. Josh worked really hard, and every time I see him, he's always worked really hard, been a good leader, been really funny. And actually, here at Pep Execs was the first time we were actually put together in the same room, which I'm sure Josh had something to do with. And last night, I had my first opportunity to actually sleep with Josh. It was a rather invigorating experience. And the first thing, I decided I want to switch beds because 2 nights ago, Josh kept opening the blind, and I said, Josh, close the blind. No, I'm an asshole, I want to keep the blind open. So he kept the blind open. So last night I decided I'm going to sleep by the window so Josh can't open the blind in the middle of the night and wake us all up at 5 in the morning. So I decided to switch beds, and I would be in bed without Josh, but still by the window. Josh was like, no, you have to sleep with me because I have allergies and have to sleep by the fan. And I didn't believe him because you can't really believe anything Josh says. So I went like 2 doors down to Dorf's room, and I'm like, Dorf, come on, is this true? And he's like, yeah, it's true. He doesn't even sleep in his own room. He has to sleep on a couch because he has allergies. So it was true, so I said, okay, you can sleep by the fan. Then he decides he's going to steal all the sheets because he has allergies once again and has to have his own sheet. So I gave him the sheet. I slept on the mattress. And tonight I actually got his own sheet. I pre-ordered it for him. Special treatment. But basically, Josh, so far you've done a great job. You called me twice. I was Sagan before I was Gold. You called me once. And then the second time he called me when I was Gold, and I'm like, Josh, you're totally mixed up. I'm Gold now. He's like, oh yeah, but I want you to speak at my Midstates. And I'm really honored, Josh, that you asked me to speak at your Midstates. And so I got you a present. I think it fits Josh very well. It's totally random. I picked it up on the side of the road. It's a hubcap. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything. That's basically Josh. Josh, use a hubcap. Don't touch it because your hands get all dirty. It goes in your chocolate cake. And with that, DJ, please, with the order to stop.
My Grand Moray and successor as Moray, Larry Riker.